Hey. Next episode. Last topic we left off was pretty, intense. But if you know me and you've ever heard my story, you know it wasn't a plain Jane story. And so I told you that I had some resources, and so I just want to quickly touch on those and kind of offer some insight onto ways that I was able to navigate domestic violence and how I was able to get through it. Now, granted, every state is a little different, and I just want you to understand there are some national things that are happening for family, but I also know how important it is to navigate these areas. And so if you ever know anybody who's ever been in a situation like this, and how can you be a support for them? First, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about maybe you're not the person in the cycle, but you have a family member or a friend who you just have this suspicion or this feeling, or you've seen and heard things, but you're just too scared to, or you're just not sure what to say, right? How do we navigate being a supportive person for somebody in the system? So, first of all, never judge a situation by what you see or hear. And why I say that is because you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. For years, people thought that I had the most cookie cutter perfect marriage, perfect family, perfect house, little gingerbread house, perfect little curtains, perfectly dusted every single day, perfect little figurines and perfect little couch doilies and all the damn things, okay? Um, it was all a big fat lie. What a masquerade, okay? And so don't judge what you're seeing or hearing. Um, it was amazing how many people thought I was safe. How many people thought I had the best spouse in the whole wide world? How many women wanted him? Okay, let's be honest. How many women wanted my life, what they thought was my life? Um, And what I can tell you is that we put on a pretty damn good show. When you're in the cycle, the last thing you want is judgment. The last thing you want is people to criticize your life and to criticize you because you already are made to feel like crap every day of that relationship. Okay. And so when you're already feeling that way from your significant other, it's really, really sucky when the world around you feels the same way, because that's how people take themselves out. 100%. That's how that happens because there's no support as far as they see, as far as they feel. Now, before all hell broke loose in my life, my mother said something to me and I ignored her. Um, It's one thing I wish I would have done differently, and it's that moment I wish I would have listened to her. I truly do. That would have been a pivotal moment in my kid's life. But it is what it is. It unfolded the way it unfolded. And I learned some valuable lessons from it, life lessons from it. And I'm here today and I'm alive by the grace of God to be able to help somebody else. And so I don't ever take that for granted. Second is a lot of people don't get out because they don't know how to find the resources to get out. I was in a situation where I was afraid to ask for help. I was afraid to admit my truth. I had a lot of shame and a lot of guilt that was put in my weighing heavy on me. I made my own mistakes too that made me feel shame and guilt, right? And doubt. But I had no idea that I would need to go to a courthouse and file papers. I had no idea that I would need that if I called the police, that I could tell them I wanted out without telling them I wanted out. I was put on the spot. Um, a lot of police and law enforcement are getting better compared to when I went through this years ago, right? In 2009. Now they're becoming much more aware of situations. I can't speak for every state. I can speak for the ones I've dealt with. And what I can tell you is that they've gotten better. They've gotten better at codes and signals and really getting the victim to where they're getting the help that they need without getting hurt. And for me, um, we didn't have 211 to dial 211 and you could get resources at your fingertips on your phone. We didn't have that at the time, right? And so when 911, and granted, we use 911, but when police show up to your house and they come in your living room and you're both there and they don't take you to the side and they don't give you the space that you need to be in a separate area to talk to you away from the person, you know you'll die if you say, you know, something as soon as they get out. Like, it's that serious and you really feel that way. You've almost died in their hands. So like, why would you not feel that way, right? Anybody who doesn't feel that way, I'd be shocked. And so for me, the ability to just distinguish that there are resources at schools that your kids go to or your nieces and nephew go to, that there usually now is like different shelters and such that you can get in contact with. I know locally we have like different organizations. I'm not going to say their names because every state is different, but we have different organizations, and you can type in keywords like domestic violence in Google, and it will, you know, you can type in domestic violence shelters near me. You can type in different things, and it will help you find those different resources available to you. What I want to express is, don't give up hope. Hope is going to be your best friend. And so many people go through this and they give up hope really quickly because they don't get their resources met right away, or it feels like it's just a lot of work and paper trail. What I'm going to tell you is, you can't give up hope. It took me 8 separate times to have my significant others served just to start the process of our divorce and custody and such. 18 times from 2009 until it finally happened in 2015. Okay. And then it took another 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, 2 years, 2.5 years, till December of 2017 to finalize everything. And so things are going to take time. The judicial system is not fast, whether people want to admit it or not. It's just not fast. Okay. And you're dealing with family law, family court. And so the other place that another resource that I highly recommend, it isn't always available, but it's something that you should definitely look into, is I was told to call the state bar hotline. There's an 800 for each state. It'll have the state, and then it'll say, like, for us, it was Oregon State Bar, but every state has one. And the state bar has a lot of different resources. Well, I happened to find a lawyer who she was called the Modest Means Program. Now, I know a lot of states have this, and it's called the Modest Means Program. And what they do is they hook you up with a lawyer that will work within your budget. So if you are on a limited income like I was, you can get actually a decreased rate on the lawyer fees, but still obtain that lawyer. The coolest thing is some of them will actually work with you and let you do payment plans. They'll let you work it out to where you are paying a whole lot less than what you would normally pay for a good lawyer. And they're a damn good lawyer. I actually connected with an amazing lawyer, and she is just doing some incredible things today. I can't wait to have her on this podcast to just share with her the things that she has been doing because of mine and my kids' story and how it impacted her life. And so you just never know what resources are going to connect you and how they're going to evolve and change someone else's life. And so the Modest Means program with getting that lawyer was just such a huge win for my kids and I. It really did level up the game and change things for us. So that's another resource. Another resource is, you know, call your local sheriff's and police department. I know that sounds like way over the top, but it's not. Call your local district attorney's office. Don't be afraid to call your local courthouse and ask them questions. No, they don't, you know, they can't give you lawyer advice, but they can tell you what they have available. They can tell you different packets and options. Most courthouses these days too also offer a program where you can get deducted rates to get your your papers filed. You can get fees waived and all kinds of different things that can help you if you're in a financial burden. And so don't just think, I don't have the money, I can't get out. There are options. The other thing too is if you don't know how to do the paperwork, they actually have like workshops that can help you. And so you have to be resourceful and be willing to ask these questions. And I think it's just so important. And that's with anything, whether it's medical, whether it's financial, whether it's, legally, like whatever it is, you have to be willing to ask those pivotal questions. And no question is dumb. The only question that's dumb is the one that you're not asking. We're inquisitive humans, and people want to give you answers. And if you are just going around and assuming things, you're making an ass out of you and me. Assume, right? And so keep that in mind, is that you want to be resourceful. It pays to be resourceful, especially when you're going through something like this. And so I had to learn to step up my game and be a better asker. I had to not be afraid to overcome the things that were scaring me and holding me back from asking the questions. And I had to be willing to speak my truth. And so it's going to get hard. Okay. This is the thing when you're going through something that's really hard like this, and you're having to speak your truth, and it's not pretty, right? To sit on a witness stand and to have to call out somebody for doing something that's horrific isn't easy. So you've got to make sure you're doing your self-care too. You've got to make sure that along with your resources and along with being resourceful, that you're finding ways to work through the root of your problems, because it's not just this one incident that you're having to worry about. When something like this happens, there's a root to it. Whether you like to hear that or not, there's a root to why you end up in these relationships. There's a root to what happened that created the situation that brought you to this point in your life. And so it's so important to get connected to the resources that are going to help you, whether that be support groups. You can reach out to your local mental health offices and find a counselor. Find somebody who specializes in what you're struggling with. Find therapy groups. They have different groups that they can offer. Look around your local newspaper, go into your local community groups. Like there's ways for you to go, and you can anonymously ask questions too. You never have to give out your name to ask a question. And if you do, don't use that resource. Go to the next thing. Like if it's something that, don't let that hold you back. Look for the one that lets you be anonymous. And what I learned was, if you're really scared and you have your kids with you and you're not sure how to support your kids, get them connected to counseling and resources too. Don't just feel like you have to do this for yourself so that you can do all the work to help heal your kids. It's not even possible for you to do it for them, because they're going to have a lot of their own emotions. I had one kid that was pissed off at me for a really long time. She was in it the longest with me. Go figure, right? She was very angry at me for a real long time until I started getting my crap together. She's seen me getting sober. She's seen me working on myself. She's seen me bettering myself. And then our relationship is now rock solid today. It's never been like that. Praise God every day for the healing work that's been done in our lives. Second child went through major, major mental health and physical and medical issues. Lots of psychosis stuff we didn't know about. The silent little killer. They were the one where I thought I didn't F them up because they weren't lashing out like the other two, right? They weren't freaking out and being loud like the other two. They were nice and quiet. Those are the ones you got to worry about. Those quiet ones are the ones you got to worry about the most, because they are internalizing everything. And I was both. I would be lashing out and then internalize some, lashing out and internalize stuff. But my kids did their own thing. I had two kids that were freaking out on the outside, and I had one that was freaking out on the inside. So counseling was a huge resource as a mother, as a survivor, as somebody who wanted to support them, but also give them their own voice. You have to allow them to feel how they feel. You can't feel for them. You can't decide how this works out for their future. They have to do that. They have to work through the things just like you have to work through your things. And that's one thing I learned as a mom, is I was only in control of my emotions and my feelings and how I responded to the things, right? But my kids were allowed to feel how they felt. They were allowed to have their own opinion. They were allowed to say no. They were allowed to say yes. They were allowed to choose. And that was a really hard thing because when my, two kids turned 18, they had the option to have and establish that relationship with their bio father. And they said no. They made the decision that it wasn't healthy for them and they didn't want it. But I didn't know how that was going to go. I'm just being transparent. As a mom, I never lied to them, but I never blasted my exes. I never talked down on people. I let my children figure it out for themselves. My kids actually, they're now 29, 23, and 20. And my little youngest is 11. And my older kids said to me just recently, they said, Mom, we want to thank you. And I also have my niece who is, oh my gosh, Stephanie, how are you now? She's 8 years younger and I'm 45. Holy crap, she's gonna make me do math. She's like, what, 37? No way. I thought she was 35. Holy crap. Okay. That'll age you. I took Stephen when she was 12 and had her with me until she was 21. She lived with us. So she went through a lot with us too. And but these kids have came to me and they said, one thing I really respect about you and I appreciate, Mom. And I'm like, what's that? Because you never know what's going to come out of kids' mouths, right? And they said, we respect that you never judged them. You let us decide how we wanted the relationships to go with our dads. You let us choose how we felt about things. You let us you never told us how to feel. You never told us what to do about the situation. You always gave us the information and it was just plain out right there. No secrets, no strings attached. And you let us choose. And I responded with, it would have been wrong for me to tell you how to feel and to decide for you because for so many years, I felt trapped in my own decision making. I felt like I didn't have control or self control. And I felt like I was in a whirlwind of feelings that made me an emotional roller coaster. And I was out of control because of it. And I didn't want that for them. I didn't want them to have this these negative emotions and feelings about people that I created because that wouldn't be fair to them. I wanted them to see things and to understand things and to learn the lessons and the blessings that come with the turmoil. And for them to be able to go through the process of healing and me giving them that, not trying to take that from them was so important because I knew that if I needed that in my healing, why wouldn't somebody else? But a lot of people try to feel for other people. A lot of people try to tell people how they feel. A lot of people try to tell people what they should feel. A lot of people tell people, oh, you shouldn't be mad at them like that. Why would you be angry at your parent for that? They're your parent. They gave life to you. And just the amount of things, the crap I've heard over the years, um, it's it's false when you're doing things like that. It's not speaking their truth and it's not giving them the power to speak their truth. And their truth is that they deserved better. Point blank. They deserved better and I wanted to give them an opportunity to have better. And so if I were to control the situation, that wasn't going to give them the opportunity to have what was best for them. But if they were able to feel and have some sense of self-control in the situation, they were going to get their needs met in a way that I would never be able to fulfill. And it wasn't my place to fulfill, it was God's. And he had to do the inner work on them. And he had to do the healing for them and work through that with them. That was their journey. And I had to respect their journey because their journey was just as powerful and just as important as mine. And it impacted how I was going to heal too. Let's be honest. It's an environmental thing. We're all a part of the process. And so if I was doing the work on me and setting that example, then that meant that they were doing the work on them. So the last almost 5 years now, I've been really hammering on like doing the self-care and doing the self-development and inner work every single day. And in that process, my family is whole again. In that process, they're doing the work too. And when things come out in life, they're not hitting us so heavy, but it's because we found the resources and the tools and we didn't give up. So, best advice I can give anyone in this situation is don't quit choosing a better way out. Don't quit to have that life you dream and desire to have. Um, what happened to you is for you, whether you believe it or not. It's going to impact your life and other people's lives in so many different ways that you're never going to be able to fathom it until it's like later you're going to say, God, I know that was you. And it's going to be way bigger and better than you could ever imagine it. And I'm just living proof of the healing work that can be done when you choose to do the work. And so um, just know that you are equipped to handle the situations that you're in. And so you get to decide today what kind of life you want to live. And if it's not happening right now, then go out and create it. Don't wait for it to come to you. Go create it. And never be afraid to ask those questions, because asking questions is literally going to change your life. And so I hope this inspires somebody. I hope it can help you navigate those waters. Just know that, you have resource community places. Don't be afraid to go look for them. Don't be afraid to utilize what's been given to you. There's just a massive world with the web these days. It's just incredible what you can find and do. And so go out and be the light for somebody else. Make it a great day.